Okay, I guess this is finally happening. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very special video for you guys. This video I have been working on for quite some time now. If you guys are new to my channel, I have a series here called I Tried to Blank Like Blank, where I basically take something I was inspired by and try to recreate it with my own twist. That's what we're doing today with the Spiderverse movie. When I watched Spiderverse for the first time, I was blown away by how beautiful it was and how the aesthetic was so pronounced and different. And I was like, I want to recreate that because that's completely realistic. I filmed a clip a couple weeks ago, right when I got started, explaining more about why I decided to make this video. So let's watch that first. Hey guys. You might be like, Audrey, why are you wearing a winter coat indoors? And it's because I'm cold. So this was my logical solution. I'm just gonna film the entire video like this. Get ready. You know what would make this better? There we go. Now you don't have to look at a hood. You can look at this obnoxiously large pom-pom that looks like a dead cat. Welcome to the first journal entry, I guess, of my Spiderverse remake. I've been working on this for like a couple days now. I had the idea maybe 3 days ago. I saw Spiderverse twice, 2 days in a row. One thing I noticed is why are theater tickets so expensive now? I went to go see it twice because it was just so good. When that movie finished for the first time, I was just in awe. Like, I was sitting there like, oh my god, what just happened? That was beautiful. Not just because of storyline, the storyline was really good, but also just because of how beautiful and the different animation techniques, and it was very unique. The second time I went to go watch it, I paid more attention to like aesthetic things. That led to stage number 1, which is research, because I have never done anything animation based before in my life. Nothing comic book related, nothing animated, except for like keyframing. Does that count? I also did some basic research on comic book art because, you know, that's what they were going for with Spiderverse. Bold graphics, no motion blur. 1/2's animation and 2's animation. Half toning. CMYK offsetting instead of RGB. Anime techniques plus CMYK offsetting to create feeling of motion. If you've watched my channel before, when I talk about technical things, it's mostly cinematography related or photo, whatever, that type of thing. No animation in there, right? So I was like, what the heck is on 2's animation? One thing that they wanted to achieve with this movie was you could be able to stop it anywhere, any frame, and it would look like a comic book square. That's definitely not what it's called. So to do that, they decided to eliminate motion blur. And all my cinematographers out there might be like, ew, no, we need motion blur. That's how this world works. That's how film is. You need the motion blur. But they eliminated that in the movie because they didn't want it to feel like there's a camera in a sense. They wanted it to feel like a comic book. That means I'm gonna have to be filming in a higher frame rate. I'm gonna have to test this out. Stay tuned for a later update. Because when I had this idea, I literally tweeted about it and I was like, oh my god, I need to film this now. But I was thinking about it and I was, you know, literally about to text one of my friends to come help me shoot that night, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. If I want to make this good, I need to take my time, do some research, plan this out a little bit more. Fun fact, it took the animators in this film 1 week to make 1 second in this movie. So if I want to do this movie justice, yes, it is my remake. I am not trying to like remake the Spider-Verse movie, but I do want to put my own twist on it, but I still want to do it justice. And in order to do that, I'm going to need to put a lot of work into this. I decided to do like a trial run. So I got some stock footage of New York that I want to use. I'm just using this to test, and we'll see if I use it in the final thing or not, but a couple hiccups I run into along the way. A lot of them. It's not very smooth. It's not like a cool flicker, you know? It's like a, why is there an earthquake going on? And that's not the look I'm going for. I originally went to Lightroom to try and nail down the colors, and once I did, I was like, okay, how do I put this into Premiere? And then I figured that out by messing around with the colors. Then after that, I was like, okay, I have to go in individually, each frame, and add in the dots, the hashing, and the glow of the lights, individually on each frame. Since the frame is turning, it just looks really glitchy because I'm going in manually and turning it. So I'm trying to figure out how can I make them turn and still make sense, you know, be a bit smoother. So I'm thinking like After Effects tracking, but then that's like another step. I don't know, it's still work in progress. After Effects, that's pretty funny. I definitely did not use After Effects. That was pretty bad. I had no clue what I was doing. I was trying to keyframe things in Premiere, frame by frame, and it was just a glitchy mess. Going into Photoshop and then exporting things into Premiere and then going back and forth all this time. Very time consuming and sort of annoying and not really working. And that's when my friend Roberto told me about the fact that you can edit video in Photoshop. I did not know that because, you know, it's called Photoshop. I didn't think you could edit video in that. I thought that's what Premiere was for, but apparently Photoshop can do it all. Once I figured out I could edit things in Photoshop, things got a lot easier and a lot faster. Try and go through the entire process here with you guys. Even before I made the storyline or anything, I made this small 30-ish second music clip so that I knew what I would have to edit to. I couldn't use the actual music from the movie. I really wanted to use that song though, so I found a couple different remixes online and mashed them all together to make that short 30-second clip so I won't get copyrighted. My final process was this. I'd go into Premiere, I would take the clip I wanted to work on, I would separate it into the different color channels so that I could get that glitchy effect. I would convert the RGB to CMYK to get the CMYK settings with the different color channels. Separate the different channels to get that sort of glitchy look to it before combining them back together, finishing a little bit color grade, and then I would export it into Photoshop where I would add all the things like highlights, the dots, and the hash lines. And I figured out that it's better to divide the image. You have to think about the image as a 3D object, right? You can't just, at the beginning, I would just kind of put everything on one like layer and try and keyframe the whole thing to work, but that doesn't work because there's different buildings and things moving in different ways, and everything's moving different ways. You can't have one image trying to move all these different ways and make it look nice. So I would separate the image in my head sort of into like foreground, background. Maybe this car is doing its own thing, so that's its own layer, you know, so that I could track each one to the different sections so I could follow it more easily. Does that make sense? And after I was done with that, which normally took a pretty long time, I would export it back into Premiere and voila. Now that might sound pretty simple now that I explain it quickly like that, but it took me quite some time to figure out that process and to figure out what colors work, you know, how to use the different textures in Photoshop I've never done before, like the different opacity of different brushes and different layers. And I learned so much making this video, and that's what I love about this series. Like 30-second segment took me so much time, and I've learned so much about specifically Photoshop and also color grading in Premiere. Like, wow. So now a little bit more about the storyboard and shooting this video, because there are some stock footage ones in there, especially when I first started. Those were the ones I was experimenting with at the beginning. But I also obviously had to shoot some of my own footage. I went out with my mom when we just moved to Chicago. It's hard to write a story in 30 seconds. After I came up with the storyline, I made a shot list, and I went out with my mom to shoot all these different scenes, and the character I was going with was wearing that black Casey Neistat hoodie and just black sweatpants and then my winter boots. So I had to be the one in the shot the whole time. I had to teach my mom how to shoot these different things. That was interesting at some points, definitely.
Just get ready, it's filming.
It's so far away.
It's filming.
Yep, perfect.
You're doing it behind the scene thing. That's not good. All right.
I'm a great teacher.
Yeah, right. I look like a mule.
But yeah, we got it done, and then it was just a lot of editing. But once I figured out that, you know, that flow, that workflow, it was good because I just knew what I had to do and I do it, and then it was done. And so yeah, that's kind of the entire process. It was a lot of new Photoshop skills, and maybe I'll make a video breaking down or making like a segment like that in a video so you guys can see instead of just this sped up screen recording. Like I'll actually go through and explain like a certain scene I made in that 30-second clip you're about to watch. So if you're interested, you should subscribe down below. I really want to make this series into something more this year, make it more regular. Without further ado, I think it's time that I show you guys this thing I've been working on for not too long, but it feels like forever. Here's my 30-second sequence inspired by the Spiderverse movie. I hope you like it.
Sound lazy, just ignore my tone, 'cause I'm always gonna answer when you call my phone. Like, what's up, danger?